brought to you by Soundlibra.com. You can find a direct link to our full library in the description of this audio, or visit us anytime at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to Raise Brave Children, empowering kids to face the world with confidence. I'm Alex.
And I'm Lisa. Before we dive into today,
Welcome back. Last time, we laid the foundation for fearless parenting. Now, let's tackle understanding your child's unique brave.
that's right, Alex. Bravery doesn't look the same for every child. What one child sees as a daring adventure, another might see as a daunting challenge.
Exactly. When we understand their individual approach to courage, we can support them more effectively. So, Lisa, what does this unique brave really mean?
Think of it like this. We all have a certain personality, a way we tend to react to the world. Some people are naturally more outgoing and adventurous, while others are more cautious and prefer familiar environments. This is often tied to their temperament, which is something they're largely born with.
Temperament. So, a child with a more naturally bold temperament might readily try new things, jump into activities, and bounce back quickly from setbacks. Their bravery might be expressed through physical exploration or social engagement.
Conversely, a child with a more sensitive or cautious temperament might approach new situations with more hesitation. Their bravery isn't necessarily less, it's just expressed differently. It might be the quiet determination to try something difficult despite their initial nerves, or the courage to speak up for what's right even when it feels uncomfortable.
That's a really important distinction, Lisa. We don't want to mistake caution for a lack of bravery. So, how can parents identify these unique expressions of courage in their own children?
Observation is key. Pay attention to when your child seems proud of themselves, when they've overcome a small obstacle, or when they've stepped slightly outside their comfort zone. What were they doing? What was the situation? Are they more likely to try a new food or a new game? Do they speak up in a group, or do they carefully consider their words before sharing?
So, we're looking for patterns of behavior that indicate they're pushing their own boundaries, whatever those boundaries might be. It's about acknowledging their effort and their internal progress, not just comparing them to others. For example, if a child who is typically shy in larger groups manages to ask a question in class, that's a huge act of bravery for them.
Precisely. And this leads us to personality types. While temperament is innate, personality develops over time. Some children might be natural leaders, confidently guiding their friends. Others might be deep thinkers, exhibiting bravery through their intellectual curiosity and willingness to explore complex ideas.
It's like a spectrum, isn't it? And on the spectrum, bravery can manifest as assertiveness, as persistence, as empathy, or even as a quiet resilience. Think about a child who stands up for a friend being teased, or a child who keeps practicing a difficult skill until they master it. Those are all forms of bravery.
And we can't forget the influence of genetics and environment. Our genes play a role in our natural disposition, influencing things like our risk tolerance and our emotional reactivity. But the environment, our family, our school, our community, shapes how those genetic predispositions are expressed. Supportive and encouraging environments allow children to explore their brave more freely.
That's a great point about environment. If a child grows up in an atmosphere where mistakes are seen as learning opportunities, they're more likely to feel brave enough to try new things. Conversely, an environment filled with criticism or fear can stifle that natural inclination towards courage.
So, to recap for listeners, each child has their own unique way of being brave. This is influenced by their innate temperament and their developing personality. We can help by being keen observers, looking for their individual moments of courage and understanding that bravery isn't a one-size-fits-all concept.
And when we truly understand our child's unique brave, we can tailor our support. We can celebrate their specific achievements and help them navigate challenges in ways that feel manageable and empowering for them. It's about nurturing their courage, not trying to mold them into someone they're not.
So, instead of saying, be brave and do this, we might say, I see you hesitating, and that's okay. What would help you feel a little bit braver to try this? Or, I'm so proud of you for taking that step, even though it felt a little scary at first. It's about validating their feelings while encouraging their growth.
Absolutely. And this understanding sets us up perfectly for our next episode, where we'll be diving deep into decoding fear itself. What is fear? Why does it matter? And how is it connected to bravery?
That sounds fascinating. So, to sum up this episode, your child's bravery is as unique as they are. By observing their temperament and personality and understanding the interplay of genetics and environment, you can better recognize and nurture their individual strengths and their personal path to courage.
Next episode, decoding fear. What is it and why does it matter? Welcome back to Raise Brave Children. Last time, we explored understanding your child's unique brave. Today, we're diving deep into the nature of fear.
That's right, Alex. We touched on how each child approaches the world differently, and that often comes down to how they encounter and process fear. So let's get right into it. Alex, what exactly is fear?
At its core, fear is a fundamental human emotion. It's a survival instinct, a protective alarm system built into our brains. Think of it as your internal smoke detector. When it senses something potentially dangerous, it alerts you to a threat, prompting a response.
A smoke detector, I like that. So, it's designed to keep us safe?
Precisely. This alarm system triggers a cascade of physical and psychological responses. Your heart starts to pound, your breathing might quicken. That's your body preparing for action, either to fight, flight, or freeze. Your mind races, trying to assess the situation and decide on the best course of action. It's our oldest defense mechanism, honed over millennia to help our ancestors survive in a world full of dangers.
So, it's really a natural and even necessary part of being alive. It's not inherently a bad thing.
Exactly. The key distinction we need to make is between healthy, adaptive fear and debilitating, excessive fear. Healthy fear, or caution, is what keeps us from running into traffic or touching a hot stove. It's based on real, potential danger, and it guides us to make safe choices. It's the danger, proceed with care signal.
And what about the other side? The kind of fear that stops us in our tracks?
That's when fear becomes disproportionate to the actual threat. It can become a phobia, an overwhelming anxiety that prevents us from engaging in life. This often happens when the alarm system is a bit too sensitive or when past experiences have conditioned us to perceive threats that aren't truly there. It's like that smoke detector going off every time you toast bread, even when there's no fire.
That makes sense. So, for our children, this means some level of fearfulness is normal, but when does it cross the line? And how does understanding this help us as parents?
Understanding fear helps us validate our children's experiences. Instead of dismissing their worries, we can acknowledge that what they're feeling is a real emotion. We can say, I see you're feeling scared right now, and that's okay. Fear is a normal feeling. This validation is crucial. It builds trust and opens the door for us to help them navigate it.
So, it's not about telling them not to be scared, but about helping them understand why they're scared and what to do with that feeling.
Exactly. We're not aiming to eliminate fear. That's impossible and undesirable. We're aiming to help our children develop a healthy relationship with it. When we understand the biological roots of fear, we can approach our children's anxieties with more empathy and less frustration. We can recognize that their racing heart isn't a sign of weakness, but a biological response to a perceived threat.
This also connects back to what we discussed in episode 2 about understanding each child's unique brave. Their individual threshold for fear, their temperament, will influence how they experience and react to challenging situations.
Absolutely. Some children are naturally more sensitive to stimuli, which can translate to a quicker or more intense fear response. Others might be more fearless, but even they can develop fears through experiences. Our role is to observe our children, understand their individual fear profiles, and differentiate between a fleeting worry and a persistent, overwhelming anxiety.
Can you give us some practical examples of how this plays out?
Sure. Imagine a child who is afraid of dogs. A healthy fear response might be keeping a safe distance, observing the dog cautiously. A debilitating fear might involve crying uncontrollably, refusing to go to the park if there's any chance of seeing a dog, or having nightmares. As parents, if we understand that fear is a survival mechanism, we can respond more effectively. Instead of forcing the child to pet the dog, we can start by simply observing dogs from afar, talking about how dogs are trained, and gradually introducing positive, controlled exposure.
And the goal here isn't to make them love dogs, but to manage their fear so it doesn't control their life.
Precisely. It's about building coping mechanisms. We want them to feel empowered, not paralyzed by their fear. Another example is public speaking. For many adults, this is a source of profound anxiety. For a child, this fear can manifest as shyness, refusal to speak up in class, or avoiding school presentations. Again, validating the feeling. It's understandable to feel nervous when you have to speak in front of so many people is the first step.
So, we're essentially teaching them emotional regulation, but framed around this primal emotion of fear.
That's a great way to put it, Lisa. We're teaching them emotional regulation, specifically how to manage the physiological and psychological signals of fear. We can help them recognize when their smoke detector is going off, and then help them assess if it's a real fire or just a bit of smoke. We can teach them deep breathing exercises, mindfulness techniques, or simply the power of talking through their feelings.
And this proactive understanding empowers us as parents too. We can anticipate potential fears and equip ourselves with strategies.
Exactly. It shifts our mindset from seeing fear as an enemy to be vanquished to an emotion to be understood and managed. It helps us remember that our own fears can sometimes influence how we react to our children's fears. If a parent has a phobia, they might inadvertently project that fear onto their child. Understanding the universality of fear helps us address our own biases.
I'm already thinking about how this applies to everyday situations, like trying new foods, going to a new school, or even just sleeping in a dark room. All common childhood hurdles that involve fear.
Absolutely. The more we demystify fear, the less power it has. When children understand that fear is a normal feeling, a signal, and not a sign of being broken or weak, they are more likely to approach challenges with curiosity and a willingness to try. They learn that even when scared, they can still take action. They learn that the world isn't just full of dangers, but also full of opportunities, and that their inner alarm system can help them navigate both safely.
So, to recap, fear is a natural, protective survival instinct. It's meant to alert us to danger and prepare us to respond. The key for parents is to differentiate between healthy caution and debilitating anxiety, and to validate our children's feelings of fear rather than dismissing them. By understanding the biological and psychological roots of fear, we can approach our children's anxieties with empathy, teach them coping mechanisms, and ultimately help them develop a brave and resilient spirit.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. Understanding fear isn't about eradicating it. It's about befriending it, understanding its message, and learning to move forward even when it's present. Next time, we'll talk about our own fears, how the fears we carry as parents can impact our children, and how we can become better role models for bravery. Welcome back to Raise Brave Children. Last time, we dove deep into understanding what fear is and why it's a crucial part of childhood development. We talked about how fear isn't something to be avoided, but something to be understood and managed.
And we explored how every child has their own unique way of experiencing and reacting to fear, which ties into what we discussed in episode 2 about their individual brave. It's all about recognizing those differences.
Exactly. Now, in episode 4, we're going to turn the spotlight inward. We're going to talk about us, the parents, our own fears, our own anxieties, and how they can significantly impact the way we parent, and, in turn, how our children develop their own sense of bravery.
This feels really important, Alex, because often we think we need to shield our kids from everything, and we forget that we are their primary role models. If we're constantly anxious, they're going to pick up on that.
That's precisely it, Lisa. Children are incredibly perceptive. They absorb our emotional states, our reactions, and our coping mechanisms long before they can articulate them. If a parent is constantly worried about a scraped knee, or a social misstep, or a new experience, that message gets transmitted to the child. It's like a silent download of apprehension.
So, if I'm terrified of heights and my child wants to climb a playground structure, I might react with an overwhelming sense of urgency and anxiety that they'll fall. Even if I'm trying to be supportive, my own fear is communicating. This is dangerous. Be careful. You might get hurt.
You've hit on a core concept. That communication isn't just in the words, be careful. It's in the tight grip on their hand, the widening of your eyes, the quickened breath. Your child receives that as a potent signal that the situation itself is inherently frightening. And this can inadvertently teach them to be wary of new experiences, of physical challenges, or even of trusting their own growing abilities.
And this goes back to episode 2, where we talked about not imposing our own definitions of brave on our children. If my fear of heights means I prevent my child from exploring their own potential comfort with heights, I'm limiting their journey to discover their own brave.
Absolutely. Our own emotional landscape directly shapes the fertile ground on which our children's bravery can either flourish or wither. So, self awareness is the first and perhaps most critical step. We need to understand our own triggers. What situations make us feel anxious? What past experiences might be coloring our present reactions?
That's a tough question for many of us to answer honestly. We're so used to wearing a brave face for our kids, we might not even recognize our own vulnerabilities.
It's a journey. It starts with pausing. Before reacting, can we take a breath and ask ourselves, why am I feeling this way right now? Is this reaction serving my child? Or is it serving my own past discomfort? This is where emotional regulation comes into play for us as parents.
Emotional regulation, for us? I thought that was for the kids.
It is for them, but it starts with us. If we can learn to manage our own knee-jerk anxious responses, we can then model that for our children. When we, as adults, encounter something mildly stressful, and we consciously choose to take a breath, to reframe the situation, or to approach it with calculated calm, our children learn that lesson implicitly. They see us navigating difficulty without being completely overwhelmed.
So, it's not about never feeling fear, but about how we respond to it. If I'm nervous about a new school year, but I can still pack my child's lunch with a smile and talk about the exciting things they'll learn, that sends a much more empowering message than dwelling on my own worries about them making friends.
Precisely. You're modeling resilience. You're showing them that while difficult feelings can arise, they don't have to dictate our actions or our outlook. This is where the concept of the parent as a role model becomes incredibly powerful. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present and consciously managing our own emotional responses.
And how do we actively do that? Beyond just taking a breath?
There are several practical ways. Firstly, acknowledge your own feelings. Don't suppress them, but don't let them run the show. You can even verbalize it in a healthy way. For example, if you're trying a new recipe and it's not going well, you might say to a child, "Oh, this is trickier than I thought." Sometimes things don't work out the first time. That's okay. Let's see if we can figure out what went wrong and try again.
That shows them that mistakes are part of the learning process and that frustration is a normal emotion to navigate.
Exactly. Another strategy is to practice what we call brave experiences ourselves. What's something small that makes you a little uncomfortable but is generally safe? Maybe it's trying a new cafe, speaking up in a meeting, or learning a new skill. Intentionally stepping outside your comfort zone and demonstrating to yourself that you can handle it, and perhaps even enjoy it, sends a powerful message.
So, if I'm nervous about going to a new networking event and I push myself to go and strike up a conversation, I'm showing my child that it's possible to feel nervous and still do the thing.
Yes. And then you can even share that with them in an age-appropriate way. Mommy was a little nervous about talking to new people today, but I did it, and it was nice. This normalizes the feeling of apprehension while highlighting the triumph of overcoming it.
This really emphasizes that our own journey with fear and bravery is ongoing, and our children are observing every step. It's not just about what we say, but what we do.
Absolutely. And think about it. When we as parents can demonstrate a healthy relationship with our own fears, we're giving our children permission to have one too. We're showing them that fear is a signal, not a stop sign. We're teaching them that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the willingness to act in spite of it. This is the essence of being a role model.
So, to recap, our own fears and anxieties are powerful influencers in our children's lives. By becoming more self aware of our own emotional triggers, practicing emotional regulation, and intentionally engaging in our own brave experiences, we are providing our children with invaluable lessons in courage. We're showing them how to navigate their own fears, not by avoiding them, but by understanding and facing them.
Exactly. It's a ripple effect. Our inner world shapes their outer world. And by tending to our own emotional garden, we cultivate a more resilient and brave generation.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's a continuous process of learning and growing for both us and our kids.
Next episode, Small Steps, Big Leaps, introducing calculated risk. Welcome back to Raise Brave Children. Last time, we explored how our own fears as parents can impact our children and the importance of being a positive role model. Today, we're talking about a powerful tool, calculated risk.
Calculated risk. That sounds a little serious. Some parents might hear that and immediately get nervous, thinking of danger.
That's understandable. But in raising children, calculated risk means introducing age-appropriate challenges to help them learn and build confidence. It's about safe exploration.
Safe exploration. I like that better. So, it's about giving them opportunities to try things that feel a little scary, but where we've considered the outcomes.
Exactly. It's about creating an environment for small, manageable risks. This is how they learn their capabilities, what they enjoy, and what happens if things don't go as planned. It's about empowering them to discover their strengths.
Can you give us some examples? This probably looks very different for a toddler versus a teenager.
Absolutely. For a toddler, a calculated risk might be allowing them to climb a few playground steps alone. You're close, but you let them experience the slight wobble. It's a small step, but a huge achievement for them.
Okay, so for a toddler, it's about physical independence and minor challenges. What about a preschooler?
For a preschooler, it could be letting them pour their own juice, even if there's a spill. You've chosen an easy-to-handle pitcher, and you're nearby with a cloth. The risk is a small mess, but the reward is their growing ability. Or letting them choose their own outfit, within limits like no pajamas for outings.
I can see how that fosters agency and self-reliance. What about older kids, like elementary school age?
For an elementary kid, it might involve letting them walk to a nearby friend's house, especially if they've done it with you, or allowing them to help prepare a simple meal, like washing vegetables. The potential issues could be a minor cooking mistake or getting a little turnaround, but these are solvable problems they can learn from.
So, to recap for our listeners, calculated risk means carefully planned opportunities for children to step outside their comfort zone in a safe, manageable way. It's about fostering independence and competence.
Precisely. The key is for us parents to assess the situation. We need to ask, what's the potential benefit? What are the manageable downsides? How can I support without doing it for them? What skills does my child already have to help them?
That's a great set of questions. It shifts the focus from just risk to opportunity for learning. And it's about knowing your child, right? What feels like a calculated risk for one might be too much or not enough for another.
Absolutely. Understanding your child's temperament, skill level, and confidence is crucial. A naturally cautious child might need smaller steps than an adventurous one. We have to meet them where they are.
And what about when things don't go perfectly? Because that's part of the calculated aspect, isn't it? Learning from mistakes.
That's where the magic happens. When a child tries something and it doesn't work out, say they fall while learning to ride a bike or miscalculate travel time, that's an opportunity for learning and resilience. Our role then isn't to fix it immediately or shame them.
So, what do we do instead?
We help them process it. We ask questions like, what happened? What did you learn? What could you try differently? If they scrape a knee, we tend to the physical wound, but also address the emotional aspect. We reassure them it's okay to fall, and that trying again is what matters. This builds resilience.
So, it's not just the attempt, but the follow through and learning afterward. This shows we're not just asking them to be brave, but to learn how to be brave through experience.
Exactly. And by allowing these calculated risks, we send a powerful message. I trust you. I believe you can handle this. You are capable. That internal belief is the bedrock of a confident, brave individual. We are building their self-efficacy.
Self efficacy, the belief in one's own ability to achieve goals. It's such a key concept. So, to summarize this episode, we've explored calculated risk as a deliberate opportunity for children to learn and grow. We've discussed introducing age appropriate challenges, assessing outcomes, and supporting children through successes and setbacks.
And we've emphasized that understanding our child's unique capabilities and temperament is key to selecting the right challenges. By allowing these small leaps, we build their competence, their confidence, and their belief in themselves. It's a fundamental way we teach them to embrace the world with courage.
This is such practical advice. It feels much less overwhelming now and more about intentional parenting.
That's the goal. We're not aiming for children who never experience fear or failure, but children who know how to face challenges with a brave heart and a resilient spirit.
Thank you, Alex. So, what's on the horizon for us in our next episode?
Next time, we'll be focusing on the art of encouragement. We'll explore how to offer support that truly motivates and builds lasting confidence, moving beyond simple praise. Welcome back to Raise Brave Children. Last time, we explored taking calculated risks. Now, let's dive into encouragement.
It's about more than just saying good job. Today, we're focusing on offering encouragement that truly builds confidence and helps children trust their abilities, emphasizing effort and learning, not just the result.
Think about the phrase, you're so smart. If a child hears this often for every success, they might believe their intelligence is fixed. When faced with a challenge, they could fear failure, thinking it proves they aren't smart, leading them to avoid new experiences. This is the opposite of raising brave children.
So, we shift the focus from innate qualities to the process. What does that specific, descriptive feedback look like?
Imagine your child draws a picture. Instead of, that's a great drawing, try, I love how you use so many different colors in the sky. You really took your time to make the sun shine so brightly. This highlights their actions and effort.
That's a brilliant distinction. It shows we recognize their specific actions and the work they put in. It helps them understand what makes a drawing good, encouraging them to rely on their own judgment, not just our approval.
Exactly. This cultivates a growth mindset, the belief that abilities can be developed through dedication. Praising effort, strategies, and progress tells children your abilities aren't set in stone. You can grow and improve.
This connects directly to episode 5, doesn't it? Valuing a child's effort in trying something new makes them more likely to attempt it, even if it's difficult.
Absolutely. Let's consider a child struggling with a puzzle. Encouragement like, I can see you're really thinking hard about where that last piece goes, or you tried 3 different spots for that piece. That's great problem solving is incredibly effective. It validates their struggle and their strategies.
That's much more supportive than a simple "don't give up," which can feel dismissive of their current frustration.
It can be. We also want to celebrate learning and persistence, not just success. Setbacks are part of the journey. When something doesn't go as planned, we can encourage them by saying, that was a tricky problem, but you learned a lot from trying it, didn't you? Or, even though you didn't win the game, you showed amazing teamwork and never stopped trying your best.
So, we reframe outcomes. Instead of viewing failure as an endpoint, we encourage them to see it as a learning opportunity.
Precisely. This builds resilience, which we'll discuss more in episode 8. This type of encouragement teaches children it's okay to stumble as long as they learn and keep trying. It nurtures a brave spirit that isn't afraid to face challenges.
It sounds like we're teaching them to embrace the process of becoming capable, rather than just rewarding them for being so.
That's a great way to put it, Lisa. We want them to understand that effort and persistence are the keys to growth. When we focus on their process, we are giving them the tools to tackle future challenges with confidence.
So, it's about being specific when we acknowledge their efforts. Instead of a general good job, we point out what they did well or how they approached a problem.
Correct. For example, if a child is learning to ride a bike and falls, instead of just rushing to pick them up, you might say, that was a tough wobble. I saw how you steered a try, and keep your balance. You're really getting a feel for it.
That acknowledges their learning and their attempt to manage the situation. It validates the physical and mental effort involved.
It does. And it reinforces the idea that learning involves falling and getting back up. This is crucial for building a brave child who isn't deterred by initial difficulties. We're showing them that setbacks are temporary and that their progress is the real victory.
This also means we need to be mindful of our own reactions when our children face challenges. Our encouragement can help them interpret the situation positively.
Exactly. If a child tells you they failed a test, your response can shape their perspective. Saying, that's okay. A test isn't the only way to show what you know. Let's look at what you can learn from this for next time, is more constructive than expressing disappointment.
It transforms a moment of potential shame into an opportunity for growth and strategic thinking. We're equipping them with a problem-solving mindset.
And by consistently offering this type of encouragement, we're building a foundation of self-efficacy. Children start to believe in their capacity to learn, adapt, and overcome. They learn that effort leads to improvement and that challenges are opportunities, not threats.
This sounds like a powerful shift from simply praising outcomes to actively coaching and supporting their journey of development.
It is. Remember, the goal isn't just to make children feel good in the moment, but to foster genuine confidence and a love for learning that will serve them throughout their lives. By focusing on their effort, their strategies, and their progress, we are truly helping them to become brave individuals.
So, to recap, we're moving beyond generic praise to offer specific, descriptive feedback. We're celebrating effort, the learning process, and persistence over just winning or achieving a perfect outcome. This helps children develop a growth mindset and build resilience, making them more willing to take those calculated risks we discussed in the last episode.
You've got it. These subtle shifts in our language can have a profound impact on how our children view themselves and their capabilities. Being mindful of our encouragement is a cornerstone of raising truly brave children.
It's a continuous practice, learning to speak encouragement into their lives in a way that builds them up authentically.
Indeed, this focus on effort and process is fundamental to fostering courage in everyday life.
Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Raise Brave Children. Last time, we explored the powerful art of encouragement. Today, we're tackling boundaries.
Setting boundaries. That sounds like it could lead to more fear, not less.
That's a fantastic question, Lisa. Boundaries, when set with bravery, create a foundation of safety. This safety allows children to explore and develop inner courage. Think of guardrails on a mountain road. They give you confidence to drive safely.
Guardrails. I like that analogy. So, instead of feeling restricted, children feel secure because they know what to expect.
Exactly. When children understand the limits, they feel more in control. This reduces anxiety and frees up their mental energy. Remember the calculated risks from episode 5? Boundaries are the safe container for those risks. Without them, risks can become recklessness, leading to fear and lack of confidence.
So, it's about providing a predictable structure. But how do we set these boundaries in a way that feels brave, not just restrictive?
That's the key, bravery. For us as parents, setting boundaries requires courage. It means standing firm when our children protest and not backing down out of guilt. It's our job to be the calm, consistent presence, and that often means saying no.
So, it's not just the rules, but the way we enforce them. Can you give us some practical examples?
Absolutely. Let's consider screen time. A boundary might be, you can have 1 hour of screen time after your homework is done. This is clear and links a desirable activity to responsibility. The brave part comes when it's time to end. It might be met with a protest. The brave parent acknowledges the child's feelings. I see you're disappointed, but firmly restates the boundary. The hour is up, and tomorrow we'll have another hour after homework.
That firmness, coupled with empathy, makes it brave, not harsh. It shows you're upholding the structure, not punishing them.
Precisely. And this consistency helps children develop self-control. They learn that their actions have consequences and that there are acceptable ways to express needs. They learn what's expected, reducing the anxiety of constantly shifting rules.
It sounds like it also teaches them respect for rules, for others' needs, and for your role as a parent.
Absolutely. When we set boundaries around sharing toys, for example, it teaches them about considering others. The boundary, you need to take turns so everyone gets a chance to play, teaches that their desire isn't the only one. This builds empathy and is fundamental for navigating social situations.
And this connects back to building independence too. If a child knows the boundaries, they're more likely to venture out and explore within those safe parameters, right?
You've got it. A child who knows they are safe and what's expected is more likely to try new things, like riding their bike without training wheels or speaking up in a group. They aren't worried about overstepping because the safe zone has been clearly defined. It's about empowering them from a place of security.
So let's recap. Setting boundaries isn't about restriction, but about providing a safe structure. This safety fuels bravery by reducing anxiety and allowing exploration. The courage in boundary setting comes from being firm and consistent, even when children protest.
And by doing so, we teach vital life skills, self-control, respect for rules and others, and the confidence to explore independently. Boundaries are not walls. They're the support beams for their future adventures.
That's a wonderful way to put it, Alex. This really does pave the way for children to feel secure enough to be brave.
Indeed. And this understanding of a secure base will be crucial as we move into our next episode, where we'll be exploring resilience, how to help our children bounce back stronger.
Resilience revealed. That sounds like a vital skill. We'll see you then.
Next episode, Resilience Revealed, Bouncing Back Stronger. Welcome back. Last time we covered setting boundaries with bravery. Now, let's tackle resilience.
Right, Alex? We've talked about courage and understanding fear, but what happens when things don't go as planned? When kids face setbacks, how do we equip them to bounce back and grow? That's the essence of resilience.
Precisely. Resilience is the ability to adapt well in the face of adversity, trauma, threats, or significant stress. Picture a strong rubber band. When stretched, it might bend, but it snaps back to its original shape. Children can develop the same quality.
I love that analogy. So, it's not about avoiding difficulty, but having the inner strength to recover and keep moving forward. It's about developing mental and emotional toughness.
Exactly. And remember, resilience isn't just something you're born with. It's a set of skills that can be nurtured over time. Like learning to ride a bike, it takes practice and sometimes a few tumbles.
Speaking of tumbles, how does understanding fear, which we discussed earlier, play into this?
That's a fantastic connection, Lisa. Remember, fear is a natural response to perceived danger. Understanding that fear is a normal, temporary emotion is a huge step towards resilience. When children realize feeling scared doesn't mean they're weak, they're less likely to be paralyzed by it. They can acknowledge the fear and, with strategies, move past it. This understanding forms a bedrock for resilience.
So, if resilience is a skill, what are some key components we can help our children build?
One of the most vital is grit and perseverance. Grit is the passion and perseverance for long-term goals. It's about sticking with something even when it's hard. Think of a child learning a difficult puzzle or practicing a new sport. They might get frustrated, but with grit, they'll keep trying.
Ah, so it's not about giving up at the first sign of trouble. It's about that inner voice that says, let me try one more time.
Exactly. And perseverance often goes hand in hand with a problem-solving mindset. Instead of freezing when they encounter an obstacle, resilient children are encouraged to ask, "What can I do about this?" This prompts them to look for solutions and brainstorm ideas.
This reminds me of when my daughter was trying to build a very complex Lego castle. She spent hours on it, and then a crucial piece wouldn't fit. She got so discouraged and wanted to quit.
That's a perfect moment for resilience building. What did you do?
Well, at first, I wanted to jump in and fix it for her, but I remembered we wanted her to be more independent. So, I sat with her, acknowledged her frustration, and said, it looks like that connection is tricky. What's another way we could attach this piece? Or could we build around it?
That's brilliant, Lisa. You validated her feelings, which is step one. Then you guided her toward a problem-solving approach without giving her the answer directly. You encouraged her to think critically about the challenge.
It took a while, and she tried a few different things that didn't quite work, but eventually, she figured out a way to stabilize the structure by using two smaller pieces differently. The look on her face when it finally stood strong was priceless. She was so proud.
And that pride is a powerful reinforcer. That experience teaches her that challenges are not insurmountable. She learned that frustration is temporary and that she has the ability to find solutions. This builds self-efficacy, the belief in her own capability to succeed.
Self-efficacy. So, it's about believing you can do it.
Exactly. Children with high self-efficacy are more likely to take on challenges, persist when faced with difficulties, and recover from setbacks. They see failure not as a reflection of their worth, but as an opportunity to learn and improve.
How else can we actively foster this self-efficacy and problem-solving?
Another powerful tool is encouraging emotional regulation. This is the ability to manage and express emotions in healthy ways. When children can identify their feelings, whether it's anger, sadness, or disappointment, and express them appropriately, they're better equipped to cope with stress.
So, it's not about suppressing emotions, but about understanding them and finding constructive outlets.
Precisely. Giving them words for their feelings like, you seem really frustrated right now, or it's okay to feel sad when something doesn't work out, helps them develop this skill. We can also model healthy emotional expression ourselves.
And I imagine having a strong support system is critical too. Knowing they aren't alone when things get tough.
Absolutely. A strong support system, including parents, family, friends, and even teachers, provides a sense of security. When children feel loved and supported, they have a safe base from which to explore, take risks, and bounce back from inevitable bumps in the road. They know there are people who believe in them.
This feels like a really practical framework. Grit and perseverance, a problem-solving mindset, self-efficacy, emotional regulation, and a strong support system.
You've got it, Lisa. These aren't just abstract concepts. They're actionable skills we can help our children develop every day through our interactions and the opportunities we provide. We can reframe setbacks as learning experiences, encourage them to try again after a mistake, and celebrate their efforts, not just their successes.
It's about building that inner strength, that capacity to bend without breaking, and to always find a way to spring back.
That's the picture of resilience we want for our children. They will face challenges, but armed with these skills, they can navigate them with confidence and emerge stronger.
This has been so insightful, Alex. Understanding these building blocks of resilience gives us such concrete ways to support our children.
It really does. These are the skills that will serve them throughout their lives, not just in childhood, but as they grow into adults facing bigger challenges.
So, to recap, we've talked about resilience being like a rubber band, the ability to snap back from adversity. Key components include grit, perseverance, a problem-solving mindset, self-efficacy, emotional regulation, and a strong support system. By fostering these, we help our children believe in their ability to overcome obstacles and learn from difficult experiences.
You summarized it perfectly, Lisa.
Next episode, embracing adventure, fueling curiosity and exploration.
I can't wait. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Raise Brave Children, continuing our journey. Let's embrace adventure and fuel curiosity.
That sounds like so much fun, Alex. And it really ties into what we've been talking about. If a child knows how to bounce back from little stumbles, they're going to be much more willing to try new things, right?
Exactly, Lisa. We focused on building that internal strength, that ability to get back up after falling. Now, we want to give them reasons to want to explore, to step outside their comfort zone, knowing they have that resilience to lean on. Adventure, in this context, isn't always about climbing mountains or sailing across oceans. It's about fostering a mindset, a love for the unknown, and a desire to discover.
So, it's not just for kids who are naturally thrill seekers. It's for all kids. How do we even begin to define this kind of adventure for them?
Think of it as sparks. We're looking to ignite their curiosity about the world around them. What does that look like in practice? It looks like letting them ask why a million times and finding the answers together. It looks like encouraging them to try a new food, even if they're hesitant. It's about embracing everyday moments as opportunities for discovery. Our own sense of wonder and our willingness to try new things can be infectious.
That makes sense. My daughter saw a ladybug in the garden the other day, and she was absolutely fascinated. She wanted to know everything about it. Instead of just saying it's a bug, we grabbed a magnifying glass and looked it up. That was an adventure for her.
That's a perfect example. Lisa, you turned a simple moment into an exploration. You nurtured her curiosity. One of the most powerful ways we can fuel this is by creating opportunities, even small ones, for exploration. This could be anything from going on a nature walk and identifying different plants and animals to visiting a new park or even just exploring a different route home from school. The key is to introduce novelty and encourage observation.
And I imagine it's important to let them lead sometimes, too, not just us planning every single adventure.
Absolutely. Allowing children to take the lead in their explorations is crucial for building an independent spirit. When they get to choose what to investigate, what direction to go, they develop a sense of agency. This is where we encourage them to follow their own questions. If they're captivated by clouds, let them spend time watching them and wondering about them. If they're interested in how things work, provide opportunities to tinker and experiment in a safe environment.
So, it's about giving them the space and the tools and then stepping back a bit. What about the calculated risks we touched on earlier? How does that connect to adventure?
It connects beautifully. Calculated risk is the foundation of meaningful adventure. We're not talking about reckless abandon here. We're talking about letting children experience things that might feel a little daunting, but where the potential for learning and growth is high and the danger is managed. Picture this. A child wants to climb a slightly taller tree than they're used to. That's a calculated risk. We can stand by, offer gentle encouragement, and make sure the landing is safe. This builds confidence, showing them that they can do things that seem a little scary.
And with the resilience they've learned, they know that even if they slip, they'll be okay and can try again.
Precisely. Now, let's talk about how to actively encourage this sense of adventure and curiosity. One of the best methods is open-ended questioning. Instead of asking, "Did you have fun at the park?" Try, "What was the most interesting thing you saw at the park today?" Or, "What did you discover while you were playing?" These questions prompt deeper thinking and encourage them to reflect on their experiences.
That's a great tip. It shifts the focus from just a general feeling to specific observations.
It really does. Another powerful tool is celebrating the process, not just the outcome. When a child is engaged in an activity, whether it's building a complex fort or trying to figure out a new game, praise their effort, their persistence, and their creative thinking. This reinforces that the journey of exploration is valuable in itself, regardless of whether they achieve a perfect result immediately.
So, it's okay if their fort collapses as long as they learned something or had fun trying to build it.
Absolutely. And sometimes the biggest adventures come from overcoming what feels like a challenging situation. An adventure can be about pushing past a perceived limit. For example, if a child is hesitant to try a new sport, an adventure for them might be showing up for the first practice. It's about bravely stepping into the unknown, even when it feels uncomfortable.
I like how all these topics are weaving together. It's not just a series of disconnected tips.
That's our goal. These concepts are all interconnected. Embracing adventure isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong practice. We want to cultivate a mindset in our children where they see the world as a giant playground for learning and discovery. This means embracing a little mess, a little uncertainty, and a lot of wonder.
So, to recap what we've discussed today, adventure for children isn't always about grand journeys. It's about igniting curiosity through everyday discoveries and encouraging exploration. We do this by creating opportunities for novelty, allowing them to lead their own investigations, and embracing calculated risks. We can actively foster this using open-ended questions and by celebrating the process of discovery, not just the end result. And this all builds on the resilience and bravery we've already covered.
You've hit the nail on the head, Lisa. When we encourage our children to be adventurous and curious, we're not just giving them fun experiences. We are equipping them with essential skills for life: problem solving, adaptability, a love for learning, and an eagerness to engage with the world. We are, in essence, teaching them to be lifelong explorers of life itself.
It's about nurturing that sparkle in their eye when they learn something new.
Exactly. And that sparkle is the fuel for their future adventures, big and small.
That's a wonderful thought to end on for this episode. Next episode, the power of I can, building an independent spirit.
I can't wait. Join us then. Welcome back. Today we explore the power of I can in building independence.
Last time, we discussed embracing adventure and curiosity. Now we're focusing on how allowing children to do things for themselves fuels that sense of capability.
Precisely, Lisa. This episode is all about nurturing independence, a critical building block for genuine bravery. When children feel they can handle tasks and make their own choices, their confidence soars.
It's like giving them the tools to build their own self-esteem. Instead of always doing things for them, we're empowering them. But what does that look like in practice, Alex?
Great question. It starts with age-appropriate responsibilities. Think about what a child can realistically do at different stages. A toddler can help put toys away. A preschooler can help set the table. A school-age child can pack their own lunch or help with simple chores. These aren't just tasks. They're opportunities to say, I did that.
So it's about breaking down bigger tasks into manageable steps and then letting them own those steps. It's easy to want to jump in and do it faster or better, but that robs them of the learning process.
Exactly. And it ties directly back to our discussion on calculated risk. When a child attempts something independently, even if they stumble a bit, they're learning valuable lessons about problem solving and perseverance. We need to allow for those stumbles.
That makes sense. The stumble is where the learning happens. It's not about failure. It's about figuring things out. And you mentioned choices too. How does giving them choices foster independence?
Choices are powerful. They give children a sense of control over their lives. It doesn't have to be a major decision. It can be as simple as choosing between two outfits, deciding whether to have an apple or a banana for a snack, or picking which book to read. These small acts of agency build up.
So, instead of saying, you're wearing the blue shirt, we say, would you like to wear the blue shirt or the red shirt? That subtle shift gives them ownership.
Precisely. And when they make a choice, even if it's not the one we would have made, we need to let them see it through. If they choose the red shirt that's a bit too warm for the day, they'll learn for themselves. This builds self-trust. They learn that their decisions have consequences and they can handle them.
That can be tough for parents, though. We often see what's coming. How do we balance letting them learn from their choices with ensuring their safety and well-being?
It's a continuous calibration. The key is the type of choices we offer. We always ensure the options are safe and acceptable. You wouldn't let a child choose whether to play with fire, but you would let them choose where to play in the yard or which of their toys to share. The boundaries are set, but within those boundaries, there's freedom.
So, it's about creating a safe space where they can practice making decisions and learning from them. This is also about building that I can mindset, right? When they successfully complete a task or make a good choice, they internalize that.
Absolutely. This is where the phrase, I can, becomes more than just words. It becomes a deeply ingrained belief. Every successful independent action reinforces that belief. It builds their self-efficacy, their confidence in their own ability to meet challenges. Remember our talk on resilience? Independence is a huge part of that. Children who feel capable are better equipped to bounce back when things get tough.
It's fascinating how these concepts weave together. Independence fuels self-efficacy, which strengthens resilience, which in turn makes them more likely to embrace calculated risks and new adventures.
Exactly. It's a beautiful, interconnected cycle. When we trust our children to do things for themselves, we're sending them a powerful message. I believe in you. I know you can handle this. That belief from us is a cornerstone for their own self-belief.
And this directly combats the fear of failure or the fear of not being capable, which are significant hurdles for many children. When they have a history of successfully navigating tasks and choices, that I can muscle is strong.
It is. And as they grow, we can gradually increase the complexity of the responsibilities and the significance of the choices. For older children, this could mean contributing to family decisions, managing their own homework schedule, or planning a small part of family outing.
It's about a slow, steady release of control, allowing them to grow into more capable individuals. It's about fostering that internal locus of control, where they feel they are the drivers of their outcomes, not just passengers.
That's a perfect way to put it, Lisa. It's about empowering them to be the drivers of their own lives. By consistently offering opportunities for independence, whether it's a small chore or a significant choice, we are quietly but powerfully building their confidence and their innate understanding that they are capable.
So, to recap for our listeners, building independence involves giving age appropriate responsibilities, offering meaningful choices within safe boundaries, and allowing children to learn from their decisions. This process directly cultivates their I can mindset, boosts self efficacy, and strengthens their overall resilience. It's a foundational element for raising truly brave children.
Couldn't have said it better. This episode is about trusting our children and giving them the space to discover their own capabilities.
It's a powerful way to help them believe in themselves.
Next episode, we tackle the big fears head on, exploring practical strategies for phobias and anxieties.
That sounds like it will be incredibly valuable.
It will be. Thanks for listening. Welcome back. Today, we learn how to tackle those overwhelming childhood fears.
We've talked about understanding fear and building resilience. Now, let's address significant anxieties and phobias.
Fear is a natural alarm system to protect us. But sometimes that alarm goes off too easily, leading to phobias, intense, irrational fears of specific things. These can significantly disrupt a child's life.
It's crucial to approach these fears with empathy and a structured plan, rather than pushing too hard. We want to build their bravery gradually.
Precisely. The first step is to pinpoint exactly what triggers the fear. Is it a specific object, a situation, or a thought? Once understood, we create a fear ladder. This is a list of steps, starting with the least frightening scenario and progressing to the most challenging one.
So, for example, if a child fears thunderstorms, the bottom of the ladder might be listening to very quiet thunder sounds, and the top could be sitting near a window during a moderate storm.
That's a perfect illustration. We move up this ladder slowly, ensuring the child feels secure and ready before attempting the next step. At each stage, we offer consistent support and validate their feelings.
It's about letting them know, I understand this is scary for you, and I'm here with you.
Exactly. We also teach simple coping strategies. Deep breathing exercises are highly effective. Practicing them when calm helps children access them more easily when they feel anxious. Imagine breathing in slowly through the nose, filling the belly like a balloon, and exhaling slowly through the mouth.
This helps them regain a sense of control. And by successfully navigating each step on the fear ladder, they prove to themselves they can handle it, building their confidence.
Patience is key. If a child needs to step back on a ladder, that's perfectly fine. We see it as a temporary pause, not a setback. Consistency in our supportive approach is what truly matters.
When these fears significantly impact a child's daily life, school, or social interactions, when should parents consider professional help?
If the fear is overwhelming and persistently interferes with their well-being, it's time to consult a professional. A pediatrician can offer guidance, and a child psychologist or therapist specializing in anxiety can provide tailored strategies.
Seeking professional support is a strong, proactive step. Therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, often called CBT, are very effective.
CBT helps children understand the connection between their thoughts, feelings, and actions. They learn to identify anxious thoughts and replace them with more balanced, realistic ones. It essentially helps their brain respond differently to things it perceives as threats.
So, for these big fears, we're applying the principles of gradual exposure and resilience we've discussed, supported by professional expertise when needed.
You've summarized it beautifully. These strategies, offered with love and unwavering support, empower children to confront their anxieties, building confidence that will serve them throughout their lives. Small, brave actions truly lead to large leaps in courage.
To recap the practical strategies for overcoming major fears: first, clearly identify the specific fear. Second, construct a fear ladder for gradual exposure. Third, practice calming techniques like deep breathing. Fourth, validate their experience and celebrate their bravery at each step. Fifth, don't hesitate to seek professional guidance if the fear causes significant distress.
Those are excellent points. By implementing these strategies with patience and consistency, we help our children develop robust coping skills for a lifetime of courage.
It's wonderful to see how all these elements create a strong foundation for brave children.
Indeed, join us for our final episode, where we'll discuss the long game, raising brave adults one day at a time.
We'll see you then. Next episode: The Long Game, Raising Brave Adults, One Day at a Time.
Welcome back to Raise Brave Children. Our final conversation is about raising brave adults one day at a time.
It feels like just yesterday we were starting this journey, Alex, talking about the very foundations of what makes a child brave. And now, we're looking ahead to the future, a future where our children are confident, resilient adults ready to take on the world.
Exactly, Lisa. Over the past 11 episodes, we've really built a comprehensive approach to nurturing courage. We started by exploring the fundamental skills that create a bedrock of fearlessness, understanding that bravery isn't the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it.
Right.
And then we delved into understanding our children's unique, brave spirits. That was such a crucial step, recognizing that courage looks different for every child, and our job is to help them discover and cultivate their own brand of bravery.
Absolutely. And to do that effectively, we had to decode fear itself. Understanding what fear is, where it comes from, and why it's such a powerful emotion allowed us to approach it more constructively with our children.
That segued beautifully into tackling our own fears as parents. It's so true that we are the primary role models for our children, and acknowledging and managing our own anxieties is a vital part of teaching them to do the same.
And this paved the way for the practical strategies. We introduced the concept of calculated risks, showing how to gradually expose children to challenges in a safe, supportive way. It's all about small steps leading to big leaps.
I remember that one vividly. And then came the art of encouragement. We learned that true encouragement goes far beyond simple praise. It's about fostering effort, progress, and a growth mindset.
Indeed, we tackled the no zone and how to set boundaries with bravery. This is so important for kids to learn that saying no when necessary and understanding limits is also an act of courage and self-respect.
Then we explored resilience. We learned how vital it is for children to bounce back from setbacks, to see challenges not as failures, but as opportunities to learn and grow stronger.
We talked about embracing adventure and fueling curiosity. This is where we actively encouraged exploration, demonstrating how a curious mind is naturally more brave, more willing to step into the unknown.
And that naturally led us to the power of I can. We focused on building that independent spirit, instilling a deep belief in their own capabilities that's essential for tackling life's hurdles.
And finally, just last time, we tackled overcoming the big fears. We offered practical strategies for dealing with phobias and significant anxieties, equipping parents with tools to support their children through their most challenging moments.
So, thinking about all of that, Alex, how do these skills honed over these episodes truly translate into raising brave adults? It's about that long game, isn't it?
It absolutely is. The foundation we've helped build, understanding fear, managing our own anxieties, taking calculated risks, encouraging resilience, fostering independence. These aren't just child rearing techniques, they are life shaping principles. When a child learns to manage their fear of trying a new sport, for example, that's the same mechanism they'll use years later to try for a promotion or start a new business.
So, the ability to face a fear of public speaking as a child becomes the confidence to give a presentation as an adult. Or, the resilience built from losing a game translates into overcoming professional setbacks.
Precisely. And think about the idea of calculated risk. As adults, this becomes our ability to make informed decisions, to step outside our comfort zone professionally or personally, knowing the potential risks but also the potential rewards. It's about informed courage, not recklessness.
And the encouragement we offered? It evolves into our ability to celebrate the achievements of others, to offer constructive feedback, and importantly, to offer ourselves grace when we stumble. That self compassion is a huge part of adult bravery.
That's such a powerful point, Lisa. The I can spirit we nurtured translates into self advocacy as adults. It's the quiet confidence that allows them to speak their truth, to pursue their dreams, and to know they are capable of overcoming obstacles.
And when we talked about embracing adventure and curiosity for adults, that translates into a lifelong love of learning, an openness to new experiences, and the willingness to adapt in a constantly changing world. These are the qualities that lead to fulfilling and dynamic adult lives.
The ability to navigate challenges, to make tough decisions, to bounce back from adversity. These are not innate talents for most. They're skills that are learned and practiced. And the earlier that practice begins, the stronger the foundation. This series has been all about providing that early practice, that guided experience.
It's about creating a mindset where challenges are seen as opportunities, where fear is a normal part of growth, and where the belief in one's own ability to cope is paramount. When that mindset is firmly in place from childhood, it's incredibly powerful for decades to come.
And as parents, our role doesn't end when they become adults. It shifts. We continue to be their sounding board, their safe harbor, but we also get to witness the incredible adults they become, built on the values and skills we help them cultivate. It's the ultimate reward of the long game.
It is. It's about empowering them with the internal tools to navigate life's inevitable complexities, both the joyful highs and the challenging lows. Raising brave children is, in essence, contributing to a more courageous and resilient world, one adult at a time.
So, as we wrap up this series, remember the core messages. Fear is normal, courage is a practice, resilience is built, and curiosity fuels growth. And most importantly, you, as a parent, are the most significant influence in your child's development of these vital traits.
We've covered so much ground, from understanding the very nature of fear to equipping our children with the tools to face life's biggest challenges. It's been an incredible journey, and we hope it's provided you with the confidence and practical strategies to continue raising brave, capable, and resilient children.
Thanks for listening to the series.